here on this side, though. I don't have to worry about getting tired.
You don't have to worry about guys yelling, Mo, why'd you throw that pass? Why'd
well,
you,
well
know,
my former coach is a few chairs away, so he may still scream at me.
Why did you turn it over? Blah, blah, blah. All right, the Blazers are 3-1. Coming off a loss at South Carolina. The Bulldogs, they are 1-2. They play out of the SWAC. It'll be the Blazers first. You're watching on TV, UAB in white with green and gold trim. And the Blazers had their 3-game winning streak snap. That's Quan Walker trying to go inside, deflected. Good hands by the Bulldogs. Big man on big man there. That was E.J. Williams getting a touch for the Bulldogs. Trey Jemison, one of the best defenders, guarding him. Looks like a one man-on-man here, well, early.
UAB starting out in their man, wanting to apply pressure. A&M giving the Blazers a zone look to start.
It's Jordan Walker, the new point guard for the Blazers.
A&M doing a great job of keeping the ball, as soon as I said it, right to the middle where it's supposed to go against the zone.
Blazers have 7 to shoot. It's got to go up soon from the outside. Walker with three-pointer.
Jordan Walker, leading scorer, starting off early. Here's the pressure, full court man-to-man pressure.
The home run ball by Walker, his 12th of the year. He leads UAB. You see again the Blazers stay in that man-to-man. Cameron Tucker. Hand off to Hicks. Hicks almost traveled. E.J. Williams over Jemison, won't fall. Strong rebound, K.J. Buffin. Buffin, his pass intercepted. Whistle, and it will be a traveling on the Bulldogs.
Just a quick shuffle, had plenty of time. For the Blazers, it's a luxury to have a big who can rebound the basketball and help them get into transition early.
Talking about Jemison, who's one of the most athletic big men in the country. Won't put up the numbers, the eye-popping numbers that will get your attention, but you just watch him being a physical specimen and how hard he works. The turnover. Jemison is a special player.
Absolutely. Great job of protecting the rim, rebounding, playing defense. Once he starts to add to his offensive game, that's going to help the Blazers immensely.
A&M with a basketball. Nice dish. Williams, and draws the foul. Did not draw the foul, he traveled.
That's 2 in a row. Trey Jemison would make anybody travel down there. Great job of Trey by walling him off, forcing him to move his feet a little quicker than he wanted to.
So 2 points rather, and a chance at the free throw line come off the scoreboard for the Bulldogs.
It was a little full court press from A&M.
Quan Jackson above the free throw line. Got it. 5-0 lead. Now, Alabama A&M is going to struggle scoring. They're not going to get to 70, 80. That's not their style. So that lost possession, though, last time down, that's costly. They got to value every time they get the basketball.
Absolutely, because once UAB gets into their pressure, if they're making shots, that's going to lessen the opportunities that they have. So they got to take advantage.
Second chance opportunity, banked up and in by Jalen Johnson. Now he's just a pure scorer, averaging over 19 a game. Went against K.J. Buffin. It's Jemison off the hands of Quan Jackson. It's Ertl with the rebound. A crowd, of course, will serenade with air ball. Ertl is a lefty. Keep that in mind. His strong side is when he drives to the left side.
Good
Nice
flash.
bounce pass, in and out. Good look by Buffin. We're near that first media timeout. Fade away, got it. Garrett Hicks in the paint.
Tough shot. And A&M, they're trying to slow UAB down. After made baskets, they're going to show them a man-to-man, back to zone. Little zone press action, not to necessarily turn them over, just to slow them down.
Three-pointer straight on, won't go. Jordan Walker hit a three earlier. On the perimeter. Ooh. Hands, but no steal.
Great anticipation by Quan Jackson.
Cameron Tucker, local kid from Winona. Three-pointer, if it goes, it does. Now Johnson is a shooter, you can't leave him open. And the Bulldogs have jumped out in front.
The Blazers will have to identify him on any pick and roll situations where he pops. They'll have to come out and help.
Strong move, no good, second chance, and a jump ball. So good defense by Alabama A&M. And that will bring us to an official timeout. Alabama A&M out in front of UAB. We'll be back in just a moment. At Bartow Arena, take a look at some of the early stats. 6 minutes in, and then, you know, the all-time head-to-head series, A&M is 0 for 13. UAB has never lost to Alabama A&M. About a 15-footer, too hard, second chance, no good. And another one for Johnson, and finally ripped down by Josh LeBlanc. Did you play A&M when you were playing?
I did. We were able to.
So you were part of that 13-0?
I am part of that 13-0.
I was going to say, if it was 13-1 and you're on one of the losing teams, you're in trouble. Three-pointer. Jamal Johnson from downtown. He's from Spain Park. Head coach Andy Kennedy nearly revamped his entire lineup with the exception of Quan Jackson, Trey Jemison, and Taven Lovin, but a lot of new bodies on the team from last year to this year. Might have been a push, but now UAB with numbers, 3-on-1.
And that's what the made baskets allow. They allow you to set up your pressure, force the other team to play faster than they would like.
A&M foul goes to Cortez, Anjay Cortez. His first, and it will be 2 shots coming up. Buffin from Gainesville, Georgia. Played at Ole Miss for 3 years. Now, he did not overlap Andy Kennedy. But certainly there is the connection. Kennedy coached at Ole Miss for over 10 years. And Buffin played there for 3, had 55 starts.
And that's the beauty of the transfer portal. You're able to get experienced guys on your roster who already are familiar with college basketball. And it just helps. It makes it a much easier transition when you're building a team or building a new roster.
It's totally changed the outlook of every program, not just basketball. Doesn't matter where you are, but it's now a revolving door with that transfer portal. E.J. Williams. Tucker. That's a three-pointer from the baseline. DJ Fairley with the home run ball, and A&M 10 up with UAB.
Back to the zone.
Three-pointer from the baseline is good. That's Jamal Johnson, who hit his second home run. He's got 6. Step away from the baseline is where he shot it. Walker might have gotten away with a push. But no one's waiting. UAB's playing an up-tempo game, and there is a whistle. Lyndon Blake is our court reporter, third member of the crew. Lyndon, what do you got?
Guys, there's so many connections here in this gym between Alabama A&M and UAB. One of the most significant, though, are the two head coaches. Obviously, people know Andy Kennedy played at UAB, but so did Dylan Howard. And they actually played together in the late 80s, early 90s. They both were a part of that 87 team that made the NCAA tournament. So old friends, old teammates, and now going head-to-head in this fun in-state matchup. Guys.
Yeah, good stuff. UAB up by 3. I mean, the connections, it's like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon here. There's Andy Kennedy, who played at UAB. Second year as the head coach. Andy played for the Blazers color commentary on radio, Murray Bartow. And Mo, you played for Murray too, right?
That's correct. I played for Coach Bartow for 2 years. During that time, Coach Kennedy was an assistant coach. Yeah, absolutely.
And I had the honor of calling Murray's first game as the head UAB coach as he took over for his late great father, Gene. Blazers by 3 plus the ball. LeClure. Lovin. That was intended to go to Lovin, out of bounds, out of sync.
A&M has done such a good job of forcing UAB into early turnovers. And that's why the game's so close. I don't know that the zone has bothered the Blazers with regards to shooting, but moving the basketball and getting into their offense has definitely been troublesome the first few minutes of this game.
I agree, and typically an Andy Kennedy team, a Murray Bartow team, whatever, they usually force the turnovers. And you just look at the numbers coming into this game, UAB averaging under 10 turnovers per game, but they've done that a few times already today. They cause about 20 plus. I mean, there's a huge differential, but the first few minutes, really, the flow and the pacing would belong to A&M, although they're down by just 1. They will be in possession with a chance to shoot for the lead. 12 minutes, 2 seconds remaining. LeBlanc on the deflection. That will be official timeout as well. I believe we'll take one here. From Bartow Arena, there's your score. Blazers by 1. Let me slide this stat in for you, Mo. The Blazers average 9 turnovers per game in their first 4 games of the year. They've already committed 7. And no doubt, knowing Andy Kennedy, that's the point of reference right there. He'll circle that on the flash stats and say, this is not us. We cannot win if we turn the ball over. When you turn it over, you let an opponent like A&M stay in a game. That's a double dribble.
Absolutely. And when you turn it over, you don't even have a chance to score. At least a bad shot or a missed shot gives you
better,
right, than a turnover.
Right.
And UAB's, they've had a ton of them just in the half court. Fortunately, they haven't led to a bunch of fast break points for Alabama A&M.
Now, stats through the first 4 games, A&M has only turned the ball over at 10 times a game, about 10.7. Blazers have not been able to shake the Bulldogs this early. Good defense right now by A&M. Inside out, then a left-handed shot won't go. A&M making sure there's only 1 rebound. Nice no-look pass and a great finish.
Great pass. Johnson head up, all because of an A&M turnover. They get a chance to push, pitch it ahead, and get into their pressure.
Easy bucket. Jalen Johnson. He has 7 points right now. He's got half of A&M's total.
And he's their guy. He's going to look to score, and giving your other team's best scorer, giving him easy opportunities, that gets his confidence going.
He scored 30 in his last game. And that was to Cincinnati, no less. That's not a chump opponent. Jalen Johnson dropped 30 on a Power 5 team.
Good job of A&M by getting back.
Baseline 3. Now there's a Jalen Johnson and a Jamal Johnson, one for UAB, one for A&M. That would have been a 2, a wing 2 came up a little too hard, hit a lot of the rim. And LaCour looking for the no-look pass. I've been impressed. A&M getting their hands on everything. Here you go, Mo.
Great find from Jamal Johnson. Good job of running the floor. Easy baskets mean you can get into your pressure, which is what UAB wants to do.
To watch the defense of A&M, they are deflecting a lot of balls. And Jemison will just clean up the garbage right there.
Right
Easy
to him. Right to him. Right spot, right time.
So Jemison gets both a rebound and 2 points. Just a 3-point lead for the Blazers. UAB undefeated at home at 3-0. Williams and Jemison. Very physical battle there. Nice dump inside and then swatted from behind. Ertl trying to run. Jemison wanted it. Nice pass from Jemison. 3-ball, corner, no.
Jemison, great job of keeping that possession alive.
Ertl. And that's blocked from behind. Pull up. We don't see a whole lot of those anymore, but in transition, A&M went for the Garrett Hicks 2. Nice move and finish. KJ Buffin. Kenyon Joseph Buffin, for those wondering at home. He prefers KJ. Off-balance shot caused by the good defensive pressure by UAB. Quan Jackson for 3. So wing 3 didn't go, and then somebody went over the top.
Alabama A&M, they're doing a great job of getting back after missed shots. UAB has not had anything easy outside of Jamal Johnson's pitch ahead earlier. They've done a very good job of limiting UAB's transition opportunities.
Buffin called on the foul. 5-point game. See who touched it. Apparently, Blazers got a fingertip on it. So now a side out. Good pressure by the Blazers, but A&M able to maintain, and here comes Garrett Hicks over the timeline.
A&M's done such a good job of playing with poise, not rushing.
Opportunities came down to 2 shots really toward the end of the game where they could have regained the lead. But overall, he was so thankful for the chance to go to South Carolina and play a Power 5 team. Him and Frank Martin are good friends. So walked away with some things to work on, improve on, and that's what they're going to try to do right now against Alabama A&M, guys.
Wasn't too long ago, remember that run that Frank Martin and South Carolina went on in the NCAAs. An unstoppable hook by Jemison.
Jemison has to look to score a little more, especially in a game that this tight at home. You're not able to turn the team over as much as you've normally turned teams over.
I totally agree with you, Mo. We talked about it off air in our prep. It's just not designed to jam the ball inside to Jemison. There are no really design plays, and it was explained to me that He's the kind of guy who thinks defense before offense. He thinks about defending the rim.
Right, and that's admirable. I know for every guard, they love the fact that the big man doesn't necessarily need touches or wants touches, but it makes the game so much easier.
Yeah, I mean, you make a valid point, because a lot of big men will cause fraction within the team that say, hey, you know, how do you not go to me? But Trey is so unselfish. There's Andy Kennedy. Violation on UAB, a foul. LeBlanc will come in for Buffin. It was Buffin who picked up his second foul. Nice hands that time, but still the ball will go to A&M. UAB defending in the backcourt.
They're doing a great job of making Alabama A&M work to get open and work to get the ball in bounds. The difference is once they've gotten it in bounds, they haven't rushed. They're not playing with any panic in them.
And there's a 5-second violation. Well, the other thing is, obviously, Dylan Howard, who played here at UAB, looks at the tape, and he, in the last couple of days, preparing for this game, did as much as he could to prepare for that press. Off the hands of Ertl. And so Andy Kennedy has to live through yet another turnover for his team.
And the UAB turnovers have been in the half court. They're not turnovers where someone's trying to force a ball or make a crazy play. It's just basic, simple passes that have been touched, or in that case, Ertl just taking his eye off for it for a second.
As we say in the world of tennis, an unforced error. And here comes Alabama A&M 3-on-2. Pull up, no good. Rebound LeBlanc. Ertl, the lefty. Rebound will go to Alabama A&M after the whistle. Did they get LeBlanc on a foul? Yes, they did.
Got LeBlanc crashing the boards. Love the aggressiveness going to the boards, but you got to know some rebounds you're not going to get. You don't want to pick up a cheap foul, especially after Buffin just goes out with 2.
It's so early. We're still 6 minutes remaining in this opening half, but A&M has to be pleased with being in shouting distance. Turnaround won't fall, then Jemison climbs up to get the rebound. Ertl, that's his strong side again, being a lefty. It's another thing you have to identify as an opposing coach. Who are the lefties? Jemison backs in. Try to reverse. He's knocked out of bounds.
And although that ball doesn't go in, he doesn't score that basket, that keeps the defense honest. It makes them have to consider the fact that, hey, he's going to try to score when he gets here, and it draws some attention. He's so unselfish. He'll find the open guy. He'll find the cutter. He'll look opposite, and he'll make the right play.
Trey went to 2 high schools here in the Birmingham area. Started at Homewood, then finished at Hoover. And his first 2 years, he was at Clemson. He's so unselfish.
Right idea.
But you would want him to be more selfish, wouldn't you?
For sure. And that play right there was actually, that was the right idea. And I think maybe Quan probably wasn't expecting the ball to come right back to him. Trey recognized that a little quicker than Quan did. Great hands.
Quan Jackson gets fouled. I like the way that Quan protected the ball and took the physical abuse on the foul. Jemison was talking with LeBlanc. There was some ill words out of that huddle situation, and they might have, they're going to talk it over. The officials will talk it over.
Because I thought LeBlanc was going to get hit with a technical foul there.
That's right, Jemison being a leader, there is Trey. Being a leader, went over to LeBlanc and said, hey, let's calm down.
And the refs I haven't seen a signal yet, so let's see.
Oh, there's a little push, but I tell you what, that was pretty good job of acting as well. Camera did catch that a little extension of the hand.
The refs now, they're looking to see if there's anything unsportsmanlike. It's a close game first half. I don't know, obviously, what was said.
Well, as we always say, get it right. UAB 21, Alabama A&M 16. We'll see it again.
Whoop. Well, I think he's inside their huddle. And that's probably what
I got you. Good call.
What ticked LeBlanc off a little bit. He's inside the huddle.
All right. But E.J. Williams, who is, by the way, 6'10", 275, you're going to tell me that a little finger touch is going to push him out of the...
Well, he may be auditioning for
Yes.
a role in some upcoming sports movie we're not aware of. But even with that being said, he's inside your huddle. You see guys all the time do it. In all honesty, you do it playfully. You tell them, hey, get out of our huddle. You can't, especially not with the officials so close by. I think
Get out of here, he said.
Yeah.
And the officials, like you mentioned, making sure that there was no malicious intent.
And I don't think there was. I think it was more so just get out of our huddle.
Just get out of my huddle.
All right.
Get out of my yard. That's Bill Jacobson. And Bill's going to talk to Mo Finley.
Coach, I'll tell you in a second. So we got a dead ball F1 on 23 White after the foul. We're going to shoot the F1 first, 2 shots, and then go point of interruption with 13 shooting 2 shots. We good? We're good.
Yeah, I think our crowd mic and headphones by Mo picked it up. A great explanation by Bill Jacobson.
Right, and UAB's fortunate they're going to even get an opportunity to go down here and negate whatever happens on this end. I mean, the F1 is obviously something that you don't want.
So explain to Mo what Jake told us. We call him Jake now because that's what he introduced himself as. But what did Bill Jacobson tell you?
Right, so there's a dead ball, and there's going to be free throws on this end because of the flagrant one. After he shoots them, we're coming back for the free throws here for UAB.
Garrett Hicks with 5 points. And now we'll go with UAB. What do you think, Mo? Good call?
I think it's a call you have to make.
You have to make that one?
In order to control
Okay.
the atmosphere. Again, you mentioned in the opening, these schools are separated by 105 miles or so. Tons of people here see Alabama A&M every year playing here. So you can't allow that sort of deal to go unchecked.
Quan Jackson, if we get back to what happened, Jackson was fouled. Okay. Then the dead ball foul on Buffin, I believe it was. Jackson has 4 points. Pressure again by UAB. Ertl part of that pressure. A&M able to get it across the timeline. Dump and pass.
Great job by Jemison. Just again, extending,
Altering.
getting long, just being himself.
Well, that's a travel. I saw that one myself. That is on Justin Brown.
Jemison's reputation as a shot blocker prevents guys from who would normally attack the basket in that situation. It makes him short arm. He's not even jumping to contest. He's just extending his arms, and it's causing the Alabama A&M Bulldogs to short arm every shot around the paint.
A&M down by 5 as they get across the timeline. Handoff from Tucker. And then a steal.
And that foul doesn't really hurt you because UAB that prevents the layup. And so for A&M, you're down 5, fouling to prevent an easy layup, to me, that's actually a good foul.
A non-shooting foul as well. Nobody in the bonus.
Gives you an opportunity to set your D again.
Walker. Try to go inside of Jemison, and good defense by A&M.
And that's a tough foul.
Wow.
That's a tough foul to get. But Jemison's there. I mean, there's nothing he can really do. You look at the replay, he rolls over on his foot. He's pleading his case, but
E.J. Williams. A&M trying to run. Ertl got his hands on that one. See, the thing about Ertl, he's a pure scorer, not scoring at the level he would want last year or this year, but that's not the only part of the game of basketball. I mean, there's many aspects, and he's played well defensively.
Right.
Now, if you want to stay on the court in Andy Kennedy's team, you're going to have to be a defender.
UAB showing a little zone after the baseline out of bounds.
3-ball from the wing. Glass, no rim.
And now they push.
Walker. Back to Walker with the orange sneakers.
He wants to match the basketball, man.
Walker. 3-pointer baseline. Yes.
Good find.
Swish.
Good find. Jamal Johnson in the corner. Easy for him.
Son of former NBA great Buck Johnson.
The Blazers were able to extend a little bit, forcing A&M to start and initiate further and further away from the basket as the half has gone on.
Quan Jackson, a really good rebounder. That's Quan. Baseline. Cleaned up by Williams. I think wisely A&M should slow it down. They cannot go 40 minutes with UAB at that pace, so take a little bit more time. You actually saw a couple of guys there, Mo, taking an extra breath. Wing 3 won't go.
It's 3 straight rebounds for Quan Jackson.
Quan Jackson with the spin move. And a rebound to his total. This is Johnson, who's having a good game. The old teardrop floater didn't go.
Good D.
Jemison will pick up the missed shot by DJ Fairley. Both teams a little frigid for the last couple of moments. Walker. 3, yes.
Great job by Walker finding Jamal Johnson. He's had a great first half, right over in his sweet spot.
Jamal Johnson feeling it, like Mo Finley said, averaging under 4 points per game, and he has a dozen in the half. Wide open, wing 3 is going to come up short.
And Quan Jackson almost came up with that rebound as well.
It looks right on the court side that A&M might be a little tired because these jumpers are coming up short. We'll find out if that's the truth. UAB out in front, 29-18 when we come back. UAB is ranked first in the nation with just under 16 steals per game. They've got 6 so far today.
And that's a credit to A&M. They've done such a great job of playing under control and not allowing UAB to speed them up.
A&M's got a scoring drought of a couple of minutes. Now that's going to be out of bounds.
That's such a smart play by Walker. He knows he's not going to catch it, knows he's not going to out-jump him, but he's going to where the ball is going to be and what gives him the best path to the ball without have to worry about evading the offensive player's body. Very smart. Didn't come up with it, but that was a very heads-up play.
Hicks.
UAB showing a little zone look here.
2 to shoot. And again, trying to shoot over Jemison. Nice poke from behind by Anjay Cortez, leads to a turnover. Shot clock did reset, okay. Blazers have their largest lead at 11. And let's see, we got UAB on one end and then A&M. Looks like it will be A&M.
Blazers going zone on the baseline out of bounds.
Jemison on Johnson.
UAB doing a great job of getting in the passing lane, just deterring passes, slowing them down just a second so that way they can rotate over.
Another shot alteration by Jemison. Walker on the run, gets fouled. He'll be going to the free throw line.
That play just shows you what type of athlete Jemison is. Jemison distracts the shooter here. Walker pushes. Walker's probably one of the fastest players on the team. He misses a layup, and Jemison is there with the putback attempt.
Jordan Walker averaging 19 points per game, held to just the 1 3-point basket so far. 5'11" junior. He has played at both Seton Hall and Tulane prior to winding up in Andy Kennedy's UAB Blazer Nation.
One of those instant impact transfers, a guy with experience, understands how to play the position. A&M's done a good job of keeping him bottled up so far.
UAB by a dozen, under a minute left to go. Another missed shot. A&M has gone cold last 4 minutes. Three-pointer if it goes. And that comes up short. Williams with the rebound. I think A&M needs this halftime to recapture and recalibrate.
Absolutely.
They ran so hard for the first 15 minutes. Little fadeaway. Nicely done by Garrett Hicks. 10-point lead for the Blazers with 15 to shoot.
Little horns action to end it. Let's see what Walker does.
Does Walker go one-on-one? Gets a screen, gets a pair of screens. Finds the open man. Nice deflection there by Jalen Johnson. And he hoists it in the air. That shows his athleticism. Hate when that happens.
A&M back to the zone.
Swish on that zone, says Jordan Walker. Slow offensive game for Walker. Averages 19, only at 6 right now.
Look for him to attack a little more. He did a good job of playing under control, not forcing the issue in the first half. Look for him to attack a little more this half, though.
Blazers up by a dozen. Maroon and white of A&M moving from right to left. Bounce pass, good intentions, but it went out of bounds.
A&M looking to get it to Jalen Johnson with the mismatch inside.
Well, we talked about Dylan Howard going to UAB and playing here, and his team played a fairly good first half. For more on Howard's thoughts, here's Lyndon Blake.
Hey guys, Coach Howard really pleased with how his team played in the first half. He says they'd be in a much better position if they hadn't missed so many open shots. He said in the second half he wants to hit those open shots and really try to eliminate the pressure that UAB is putting on them that's causing turnovers. He says he knows Andy Kennedy's style of play. He knew they were going to bring the pressure. He just wants his Bulldogs to handle a little better in the second half. And get this, of course I asked if he was sentimental coming back into Bartow Arena. He said absolutely, but he loves him to come here, go up against one of his best friends, Coach Kendi. He even took a picture with Bartow's statue yesterday, and he said, I just had to tell Coach, thank you, guys.
In this football crazy state, and they call it sometimes the capital of the football country here, what Gene Bartow did for this UAB program in the late 80s and 90s, it's a legacy that's gone on now for 40 years. It continues. His name is on the arena. And Gene did it the right way. His son took over as the head coach, and now Murray is on the bench on the radio row. But when you mention that last name, and Mo, you played here yourself, and you mentioned that last name, the first thing you think of is class and how he did it the right way.
Absolutely. When I first got to UAB, Coach Gene Bartow was the athletic director. And so even after I played for Coach Bartow and, later on Mike Anderson, Coach Gene Bartow came back to watch one of our practices. And we all have such a huge respect for his family and the sacrifices they made to help start this program. And I think it's super important for all of the athletes that participate here, especially with the men's basketball, to understand that legacy and to appreciate it and respect it the right way.
Three-pointer for A&M. They could use it. Follow-up shot got Jemison in the air on that ball fake.
Great job by Cam Tucker, just giving Jemison a little fake, knowing that he wants to block the shot. Whenever a guard is underneath that basket, the bigs typically want to try to block it. And Jemison, he changed his mind and tried to wall up like he normally does, but just got caught a little too late.
Second on Trey Jemison. Cam Tucker, surprisingly, no points so far today until then. You know him at all? I mean, you chatted with him briefly. He's from Winona.
Cam Tucker, I don't know him personally, but I did know his high school coach, and very solid player at his high school here in the city. Had an opportunity to go to Huntsville and sign with the Bulldogs.
Class 5A Player of the Year a couple of seasons ago was Tucker. I called some state championships during the highlight and the height of Winona, the Dragons.
Great pass.
Will it lead to a bucket? Yes. And a three-point one at that.
There's usually a guy open opposite. Trey Jemison did a great job catching. Knew he wasn't in a great position to score. Look for an open teammate. And it's even better when you find the hottest hand in the building.
Well, that's Jamal Johnson, who has a UAB high 15. Followed by Tucker's finish. Walker.
Good tap.
Follow up. There was some pressure and some body contact underneath. We got a moment here to talk with Lyndon Blake. Lyndon, what do you got for us?
What's really interesting right now, we have Jamal Johnson with 15 points for the Blazers. He has been knocking the three down all afternoon, but he hasn't made a three-pointer at all in the last two games. The last time he hit from behind the arc was on November 12th against Morehead State. Went 0 for 7 at Rhodes, 0 for 2 at South Carolina, but here today against the Bulldogs, he can't miss.
5 threes, as you mentioned. Quan Jackson hits the front end of what eventually will be 2 free throws. And missed that second one.
For a good shooter like Jamal, all it takes is seeing it go in once. You just got to see it go in. At home, it's where you practice and work every day.
Good scrum. The Blazers starting to widen their lead. It's suffocating Blazer defense. And the last thing A&M can afford to do, Mo, is they got to hit their shots. They got to take advantage, as we mentioned, value each possession.
Absolutely, and that's the second time I've noticed UAB deflected a pass, and then you see two guys on the floor. They're not just reaching for it, they're diving at it.
Timeout called by the A&M bench. And I believe we're going to get an official timeout. They'll stretch this one, and we will go to break. 42-24, Blazers in front. A&M ball. And they need some points. They've gone cold from the floor, Mo. They're 25% in this game.
And UAB's doing such a good job. Look how far away Cam Tucker is before he's able to get close to the basket. There's a drive there for a layup. But prior to that, they've done such a good job of making every shot, making A&M work for every shot.
Tucker now with 6 points. Again, they're defending well, A&M, but they got to hit some buckets as well to get back into this. Fade away, and it's off the rim.
With the exception of Johnson, the zone has bothered UAB a pretty good bit.
Quan Walker, Jordan wants the ball up top. Inside, Buffin. Kick out. Now, Johnson, who's got the hot hand, but misses there.
A&M doing a good job of closing out to the shooter, knowing that opposite is where he's going to try to go with it.
Speaking of kickouts,
Great
and that
pass.
leads to a three, a much-needed three. Eric Lee.
Great recognition from A&M where the help was coming from.
Redshirt freshman from Tampa. That's Buffin. Again in the paint, nice move. And then Buffin will draw the foul. Buffin's a tough matchup. We'll take a break, we'll talk more about that, but he's got size and length. The UAB in front at home with 15:32 remaining in the second half. Blazers lead the Bulldogs 42-29. CB along with you. To my left, Mo Finley, and to his left, court reporter Lyndon Blake. Newest member of the Birmingham media, by the way. We need to welcome Ms. Blake to the Magic City, from the Rocket City to the Magic City. We got all kind of UAB greats in this building now, with all-time leading scorer Steve Mitchell behind us. Buffin, 1 out of 2. Talk about his matchup. He's a pretty difficult matchup, Mo. 6'7", but he plays longer.
And if you notice, he's on the point guard on several of A&M's possessions. He does such a good job of being able to switch out there on him. Has the length to play down low, but also the quickness to go out there and contest and pressure guys on the perimeter.
Very active, especially in the paint. Not afraid to mix it up offensively and defensively. And there he is with the ball, showing patience. Walker off the screen. It will be Blazer ball. Andy Kennedy was right. I want to wait for the officials before I make my uneducated guess.
Past couple of trips, A&M, UAB has gotten an inside touch against that zone. Let's see if they can get one here.
Hurdle And the fadeaway by Ertl, unable. UAB's defense so good that a couple of guys just not putting up the offensive numbers, but it really doesn't matter. Here's a steal. Look at the speed by Walker, and he finishes. He's tough to catch from behind. You're just going to see his uniform number.
Oh, extremely difficult to catch. Great job of using his body to cut that defender off, to prevent that defender from coming around and contesting the layup.
This is the period of the game where the stronger and home opponent UAB starts to impose their will. This is the danger zone for Alabama A&M.
Absolutely. I think UAB's pressure has gotten into the legs of the Bulldogs a little bit.
Lovin from the left side. His first 2 points of the afternoon. The Blazers have done this really on the defensive end. Lovin has only 2. Michael Ertl has not scored.
They haven't gotten the turnovers that they normally get. They haven't gotten the steals and the easy baskets, but they've done a very good job of making Alabama A&M take hard, contested shots.
Reverse was missed. Walker with the quick hands, got a piece of it, but it will be A&M ball. Subs coming in for both teams. LeBlanc coming in, and Leclerc. I was right, I just didn't trust my own instincts.
UAB still in their pressure, still showing full court pressure, making Alabama A&M work, not allowing them to get comfortable.
Look at those hands. Tyreek Leclerc. Oh, the dunk! Yow!
What a great look. Great look. Jemison, such a great athlete, running the floor.
Now that's the one that gets the crowd ignited as well.
Got the dunk, the contest.
Jemison with 6 points, averages 7, but those last 2 got this crowd into it. Nice quick move, tried the reverse layup, and great defense. Dalen Smith with the deflection and no foul, no less, Mo.
Every time A&M looks like they have an advantage, UAB traps them, causes them to pick the ball up, causes them to rethink what they're doing, keeping them off balance, not allowing them to get in any offensive rhythm, even in transition, even after misses.
Jalen Johnson. He had an easy 2, came up short, and again, like you said, contested. Ertl's 3 ball. So Ertl on the scoreboard.
Great extra pass. Turned down an open shot for a better shot.
Mo, you heard me mention a couple minutes ago, it was that point of the game where the home team and the team expected to win the conference, ranked higher and all that. You feel the separation. As a player, did you know that both offensively and defensively as well? Did you feel this was our time and we would eventually take over?
Absolutely. The players recognize it, and the opposing team recognizes it as well.
You can see it in their eyes of the opponent?
Well, just their energy level. They're working hard, and they're doing a great job. Alabama A&M is doing a great job of not turning the basketball over, of defending well.
The dunk by Jemison. Blazers leading the Bulldogs when we come. Blazers in front. 11 minutes left to go. So I just want to finish my thought there, Mo. You knew as a player when a superior team had the inferior team and said, look, this is our time. We're bigger, we're stronger, we're faster, whatever it is. And you said you saw it in the eyes of the opposing player.
Right. You can recognize when another team feels overwhelmed, when they're doing a great job, and for whatever reason, like today's not their day. Like that's a great job of Alabama A&M right there on the box out. and he's in good position, has better, that ball just bounces over his head. And that type of play obviously has happened earlier in the second half. It's sort of deflating, and it gives you not a sense of despair, but just it lets you know that, hey, man, maybe today is not our day, and we just got to get ready to regroup and keep fighting to start prepare for the next game.
I think you mentioned this again. When you got the UAB or the former UAB player as head coach of Alabama A&M, the one thing he can ask his team is effort, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with this Bulldog effort. Basically, what went wrong, at one point in the first half, they were 1 for 18 from the field. They just have not been able to recover from that poor shooting stretch.
Right, and when you're getting stops, the most important, you have to get stops, but you also have to be able to make a few. And if the stops you're getting, if you can create some easy baskets from your defense, that will help. But they were unfortunate, they weren't able to create any transition baskets in the first half.
Buffin with a couple of free throws. Good hands by Buffin. He creates the turnover and then dunk you very much.
Just so physical, quick, physical, strong player.
And we mentioned this, he's just, to me, looks like such a tough matchup.
Push back.
Length, wings.
Great athleticism, just a great athlete, a motivated athlete as well.
Yeah, you could play him on the, like you said, you play him on the point. You could play him on the 3 as a defender. Probably can guard about 4 of the 5 positions.
Here's a trap, deflection.
And there he is again. This is a jump shot from outside, and then the follow-up is good.
Great follow, just Blazers playing. They're playing as if they're down. They are as active now as they've been all game, which is a really good sign for Coach Kennedy and the Blazers.
LeBlanc.
No box out weak side. That's where it's probably going. Great finish.
A&M, Mo, they had 7 points out of Jalen Johnson, their scorer in the first half. We highlighted him. He's been held to nothing right now in the second half as UAB has turned up the defensive pressure.
And I don't think he's had a whole lot of opportunities. The Blazers have done such a good job of pressuring the Bulldog ball handlers. They haven't been able to get it to him in his normal spots.
Nice run there by LeBlanc, who will come out. He, apparently is the Energizer bunny. A&M, they stayed close for about 15 of the 20 minutes in the first half. Baseline, everything, you said the word, Mo, contested. Everything contested. And if you're Andy Kennedy, that's what you can ask for.
Extra pass.
Got to challenge everything. Lovin stripped. This is a wide open shot after that move, but it won't go, and that's the problem. Dalen Smith, again, for A&M. Wide open shot, needed those points.
Great job by the Blazers, not rushing, not getting excited just because the pace is picking up with the turnovers. They didn't rush that possession.
Lead bucket coming in, yes. Cameron Tucker got ahead of the pack. UAB doing a good job of getting their hands on everything here, especially in the second half, and they have increased their steal total. And talking more about UAB defensively, here is Lyndon Blake.
Be able to take everything away from A&M, especially in the second half. But this is what they've been doing all season, guys. Get this. The Blazers rank first nationally with 15.8 steals per game. That is #1 in the country. Fantastic for UAB. The 23 steals in last Sunday's win over Road College tied a school record for the Blazers for steals in a single game. Then you got Quan Jackson, who is just a playmaker on defense. He is tied for 9th nationally with 3.5 steals per game. So defensively, this team has it going on. If you even take your eyes off the ball, they're for sure going to take it.
Jemison defending Williams. Right there, Williams cut off. Long three at the buzzer, won't go. Mo, I'm not sure if it starts with coaching or the players buying in. You know, your stud center, who's your best defender. Everything, it just all makes one big pile of great defense, doesn't it?
It's both. It's attitude. It's attitude. Coach Andy Kennedy has an intensity about him that if you've ever been around him, you recognize it right away. And his players, they have to take on that personality or else they won't survive being a member of this team.
As a player, Andy certainly was known for his outside shooting. But he has taught and preached we're going to win games defensively. A&M just over the 30-point mark.
Good decision.
There's Jemison trying to make his low post moves on Williams. Williams picks up a foul.
And I like that by Jemison. I like him forcing the issue a little bit there. Normally he would look to kick that ball out, maybe go set a ball screen. But again, as the season progresses, they will need him to be an offensive threat.
Well, and certainly if Trey wants to play at the next level, he has to develop those power inside the paint moves.
Right.
They've got to be a weapon for him.
And he has the athleticism and the length, obviously, but he will have to do a little bit offensively. Now, maybe if he can be the rim protector that he is here, if he's able to do that at the next level, that in itself is something different. But for now, that's about it. Every player, you want to make sure that your game is growing and you're getting better at every facet of the game.
I made the comparison to last year broadcasting, and it's a high praise, but it's hard not to think of Dwight Howard.
Right.
When I think of Trey Jemison.
Great defender, rim protector, super athlete.
Same body type.
Same lean, slender. Great deny by Mike Ertl.
And there's Jemison defending Williams. Williams trying to back his way in. Well, again, the contest. The shot that Williams has to make, but it's a shot that Jemison was still there to try to defend. And now a finish by Quan Jackson, showing his speed again. Jackson now with 10 points. Speaking about a defender, he was on the all-defensive USA team last year. In fact, 2 of Andy Kennedy's 5 starters were all-conference in the defensive team. So, I mean, that's 40% of your starters that are the best in the league. And that's a pretty good way to start. We'll take a timeout. See the Blazers increasing their lead, 63-31. UAB in front, and you would take a look at the Alabama A&M schedule. I want you to notice something there, Mo. See the word at Western Kentucky, at North Alabama, at Sanford, across the street, at Troy, at Indiana State. I bet you didn't know this. It takes a really hard-working, dedicated broadcaster to find this one. This is game 3 of a 12-game road trip for A&M. They will not be at home until January 8th. That's a long road trip, man.
Oh, that's a ton of games on the road. And so you're hoping that with some good scheduling, I didn't get a chance to memorize every opponent.
You know what we used to say back in the day when I traveled with my minor league club and we had a long road trip? 2 words: meal money. or now, I guess, in the college ranks, Jemison with a block, it's per diem.
Per diem.
But that's a silly
that's
12 game. You never had a 12-game road trip.
No, that's a tough stretch. And here's the thing. Obviously, it prepares you to perform in hostile environments, for sure. And that gets you ready for conference season. But just as a player, you like to shoot a jump shot on your home rim unless, you don't want to spend months on the road.
And I'll say this. Let me clarify. It's not like they're going to be completely away from Huntsville. They just won't have a home game. Like you saw Sanford, North Alabama. Those are day trips.
Right. But
but still.
There's a comfort level that comes with playing and shooting where you practice and having your home fans and looking around at your surroundings and the backdrop of a place that you're familiar with. There's the comfort in that helps you when you're on the court.
Now here we are prior to Thanksgiving, and just matriculate this. They won't be home until after New Year. I mean that's wild. That's crazy. It does do some team bonding and some great teammate time. Hopefully you like each other.
Hard. It'll be hard not to. You're spending so much time with each other on the road.
Johnson with his first 2 points of the half. He has 9 total games. That being said, Dylon Howard preparing his team, and really he's preparing his team for the SWAC conference.
Correct.
By going on the road, like you said, hostile environments. Every coach in the nation, doesn't matter what sport you're playing, but they look at conference time. That's what's important. That gets you to postseason.
Correct. That foul was on Jalen Johnson. The Blazers not only have they've kept him under his average, and I guess his rebounding average, he's close. He's leading Alabama A&M in rebounds right now. But they've done a very good job of keeping him under his scoring average.
The average is 8 boards a game.
He may have an opportunity to get his rebounding average with 6 minutes left, 6:44 left.
Quan Jackson now with 11 points. What you want to see out of A&M is keep that competitive level up. And they have.
Absolutely.
They have. They have not drooped their shoulders or at any point shown that they're physically or mentally overmatched.
Right. And that's the thing. Like every game, no one in college basketball expects a team to go undefeated. But you want to make sure that you're competing through the duration of every single game. Because like you mentioned, conference season time.
Here's Eric Lee with the dunk. What we could say about A&M in this game is not only competed for the game, but each possession they've given everything that UAB can handle. 3 ball on the wing for Quan Jackson. So Jackson's picked up his scoring. He now has 14.
Such a great pass by Walker. Walker's not scoring a ton today, but he's done such a good job of controlling the tempo when he's been on the floor. Hoping to get easy looks for his teammates.
If you watch the first 15 minutes of this game, you wouldn't think that the score would be as defined as it is, 70-35. The 15 minutes, first 15 minutes, this thing was back and forth either way.
UAB was starting to sort of clamp down defensively in the first 5 minutes of the second half. A&M went forever without a field goal. And so,
well, again, that was part of that 1 for 18 stretch from the floor.
UAB's backing off the pressure a little bit here. Still not allowing Alabama A&M's ball handlers to relax totally.
Good feed, but no bucket. Jemison adding to his rebound totals. I've got him at 10 now.
He cleans up everything around that glass. And you notice lots of times guards, when I used to play, guards would always try to steal rebounds from the bigs. No guards ever even reach for the ball when he's around. If you know,
well,
they know that rebound is his.
I believe that's his 3rd consecutive rebound in 3 consecutive possessions. That'll get you total up in a hurry. He's not going to get the double-double because he doesn't have the points yet.
High-low opportunity.
Yep.
Good job of A&M recognizing what was happening. Eric Lee making the deflection, giving his team a chance to set up defensively.
Might be it for Jemison, who exits 7 points and 11 boards. And Mo Finley talked about that. He's altered a lot of shots and possessions in this game as well. So Buffin comes back in.
A&M still denying the pass, making it hard for UAB to reverse the ball.
Wing three, Ertl warming up. That three ball allows you to get to your point total in a hurry.
Good, Mike. Ertl on the defensive deflection there.
Ertl did not score in the first half. He has 9 points all in the second half. In fact, they're all on threes.
And now, in this pass right here, pass, not a lazy pass. Mike Ertl's just doing his darndest to deny every single catch. Alabama A&M's had tough contested shots, but they've also had contested catches.
Ertl played 3 years at Louisiana Monroe. They once had a 39-point effort with Louisiana Monroe. And how about this, Mo? He had 11 threes in that game.
11 threes, that's a lot of threes.
And now he has 11 points. So from 0 to 11. Nothing in the first half, 11 in the second half. Shows you the depth of Andy Kennedy's Blazers.
And when you're a scorer like Mike Ertl, you know that you got 2 halves to play. And so you can't get down when it doesn't necessarily, when you don't score the way you normally would like, or you don't come off to a fast start. There are two halves of every game, so you have a chance.
Buffin makes the nice move and is met by some pressure and a foul. All right, the under 4-minute media timeout is upon us. Blazers now on cruise control, as you see on your scoreboard. We'll be back in just a moment. Let's take a look at the Blazers' upcoming schedule. They will play in the Las Vegas Invitational. They got a scheduled game against New Mexico, and then in the second round, they'll play either Towson or San Francisco. SoCon Foe ETSU, then a visit to St. Louis. Buffin, 1 out of 2.
UAB back to the pressure.
Under 4 remaining. Not going to call the dogs off.
Well, I like the fact that you keep your guys engaged, not necessarily because you're trying to turn the other team over. You just want them to maintain their mentality with regards to what you're going to be doing defensively over the course of the year.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, if you're going to go play a South Carolina SEC-type school and whoever else is on the schedule, you're going to keep the dogs on for 40 minutes.
Absolutely.
And as they always say, a coach told me a long time ago, defense plays on the road. Pack your defense when you're getting on that plane. Bounce pass and the finish. Ranji Gordon, his first 2 points of the game. You see the pressure still. Good head fake. And then the second chance will go down. Jabari Smith with his first 2 points of the afternoon. Andy Kennedy now is going to go a little bit deeper into his bench.
Perfect opportunity to get everyone minutes. You never know how the season's going to play out, who you're going to need, and you can't simulate game experience. So,
and somewhere along the line, you hate to talk about it this way, but you know there's going to be an injury somewhere.
Absolutely.
It's going to disrupt your chemistry.
It's a part of it for sure.
Justin Brown, friendly bounce.
That's the role you get at home. That's
you don't get that one on the road, do you?
Not when you got 12 in a row.
Quickness. Tariq Locure. That's really been all UAB in this entire half. Still playing defense.
Good closeout, forcing them to take a contested 3. Minute left, they're still going at it, still contesting every shot.
A&M's got, as we mentioned, that short trip home, and I do think that they have a lot to be proud of in this game. Their effort has been there.
I'm impressed with both teams. I'm impressed with UAB's ability to continue to compete even after the score got a little out, more on their side. I'm also really impressed with Alabama A&M's their attitude and their approach as well.
Long one. Elijah Tate. First 3 points for Tate. Minute remaining. UAB has really just turned up the volume in this half. And they will move their record to 4-1. The only blemish, the loss at South Carolina. Meanwhile, A&M dropped down to 1-3, but a non-conference game for the Bulldogs. Tony, Huntsville native, lost his balance.
Here, Andy Kennedy still saying, move the ball, move the ball. He doesn't want these guys to come out and get ragtag. You don't want it to be a situation where you're just throwing the ball around the last couple of minutes. You want them to still play with the same level of intensity and the same level of confidence in doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's a pretty good look. Just a little too far for him.
20 seconds remaining. Could be the last possession for A&M. Down to 8. Jump shot, good. Brandon Powell. And UAB now will just close it out and finish up a very impressive second half. Blazers take this one 86-41, 86-41. Close, as we mentioned, for the first 15 minutes. Bulldogs got cold from the floor, and UAB just